I know I come off as liking the finer things in life, a good Chardonnay by the fire, but believe it or not, I'm a big fan of Jackass. I, like many other angsty teenagers, grew up with these guys when they were on public access, then moved to MTV, then eventually got their own movies. Me and my dumb friends would also make amateur homemade videos where we'd throw stuff at each other, fly off of shopping carts, etc., just to kind of mimic some of the stuff they were doing. Not to the level they were doing it, of course not. We don't have the cojones, or we do, but we want to keep them intact. So when it was announced that Jackass 3D would in fact not be the last time we see guys get gored by bulls, I was all in. If you've seen the previous films in this body of work, you know this isn't high art. There's no social commentary. There's really no commentary, full stop. It is an hour and 45 or so of unbridled pain and anguish. Homer Simpson had it right all these years ago. A football to the groin will be timeless until man is gone. Hell, I think it's funny for the entire animal kingdom. I could picture a monkey reaching for a banana in a tree and be like, oh, 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 and he falls down. Oh! Goes between the legs on a branch, falls over, hits every other branch on the way down. The other monkeys are like, that's fun to think about. Again, subscribe. So do these old dogs still have it? They're no spring chickens. They're getting up there in age, but with age comes wisdom. And with that newfound wisdom, they have found beautiful ways to torture each other, not just physically, but psychologically, which are some of my favorite moments in this film. We see guys put in pitch black, thinking they have a snake in the room with them, and they're just getting taunted by others with night vision goggles on. They're having to do a quiz show where they get whacked in the nuts every time they get something wrong. Sometimes, when they get it right. They're sliding off things into cactuses. They're getting shot up with paintballs. They're getting terrorized by a giant Godzilla monster that's not Godzilla at all. It's something far more horrific. And I'll leave it to your imagination to determine what it is. There are moments that disgust me beyond all reason. I'm not much of a poop joke guy. There's some feces in this. There's a good amount of balls and dicks hanging out. So if that turns you off, you're probably going to want to look away. There were a few moments where, you know, someone's going to crap themselves, or we have to zoom in on shit in the toilet, where I had to just look up for a sec. I don't need to see that. I don't want to see that. If that kind of does it for you, then bon appetit. It's there. There's something for everyone. We do have most of the originals back, sans Bam. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. It sounds like he's just fallen on really troubled times. I'm gonna leave it at that because I don't like the hearsay and stuff. But he's not in this. Obviously, you know, one of them passed away years ago. There is a nice little call out to that. But Johnny Knoxville's back. He's got that beautiful head of gray hair, silver fox. He's relegated to more of a host. He only participates in really 2 or 3 of the events this time around. And I understand bones don't mend like they once did, although he does by far take the hardest hit in the film, and he paid the price for it. Steve-O does join in more often than not. I always found he was the craziest one of the bunch. But Chris is the one that, oh my god, the torture that this man went through is almost impressive, if not sad at the same time. He gets hit with so many different things in the nuts. There's a whole montage of him just getting destroyed, and I was loving every minute of it. Loving every minute of it. I'm loving every minute of it. Loving every minute of it! Again, subscribe. Why aren't you subscribed yet? Celebrities in the past have always shown up here and there. This time we have Machine Gun Kelly. It was nice to see him get smacked around a little bit. Eric Andre, America's sweetheart. I love whenever he shows up. He's just in the background, just like hanging out. It's so fun when I see him there, and he always has a good one-liner to throw in the mix. Bottom line, if you like Jackass in the past, nothing has changed at all. It's still gold. It's still top tier pain and anguish for our amusement. There is the new class. We should address that. There is a bunch of newcomers this time around. Poopies is one of them, I think was his name. Bad name, man. Bad name. He's doing it though. He's out there, he's taking the hits. And there's like 4 or 5 other newcomers that really pick up the mantle and run with it. They get in the mix a lot, taking the hits that maybe some of the older gentlemen don't want to do anymore, or just their bodies couldn't handle. I'd say my only negative is the finale, which seemed a little lackluster, especially when you have that grandiose introduction like you do in all Jackass films. The last few, though, had some awesome endings where there's slow motion getting pelted with different objects, or there's a house flooding. This time around, it just kind of ends, and that's a bit of a shame. I would have liked one more big hurrah. I do think they are going to make more of these, especially if it makes good money. These can't cost much to make at the end of the day, so I think it'll do just fine. But we do have these newcomers that are going to get more spotlight in the future for sure. If you did see this in theaters, it's another one of those films where one of the main actors, in this case Johnny Knoxville, shows up at the beginning and is like, hey, thanks for coming out to the movies and getting some popcorn and watching it. Oh, afterwards there's going to be a special thing just for you guys. There is. It's a little weird though. So the credits all roll down, even the production companies show up, and then it goes black for a little bit before this extra bonus thing shows up. And it's an interview with all the newcomers, the new cast, and how it felt to be part of Jackass. It could have been interesting. We watched about 5 minutes of it, but they kept showing footage from the exact same thing we just saw in the movie. It definitely felt like something that wasn't a bonus for moviegoers, but something you would see on, I don't know, cable TV somewhere. I haven't had cable TV in like 20 years, so I'm not sure what they have anymore. Is MTV still a thing? It would be on MTV. They clearly had a ton of footage that was scrapped that could have been in these behind the scene moments. Unless they're planning on doing a Jackass 4.5 ever. That doesn't really roll off the tongue well. Did they do a Jackass 3.5? I think they did one for 2. Anyway, if you're a fan of this series, I can't imagine you coming out of this disappointed. You're gonna love it. If you've never seen a Jackass film before, I mean, this isn't gonna, there's no like storyline. You can go into this fresh and it's not gonna do anything. You are gonna miss out on a little bit of the nostalgia and some of the callback pranks they do, but honestly, you could go into this not knowing anything about these guys and you would have a good time. If you like footballs to the groin. And it also wouldn't hurt if you were a fan of dry heaving, projectile vomit, bones breaking, psychological torture, human skateboard ramps, random attacks to the face, and a whole lot of dick. Well, that's Jackass Forever. Let me know if you went out and saw it already, if you're planning on. Maybe this will be your first adventure in the series. That would be a fun experience. Definitely an eye-opening one.